just want to thank everybody for coming out. And by show of hands, who in here either experienced being incarcerated or has family that has been incarcerated? Let me see your hand. Okay, now everybody look around for a minute. That's why we're here tonight. We're here to have a family discussion so that we can talk about some solutions so that we can help avoid as well as survive the American prison system. And to give you a little more background about myself, back in 2005, I started my own prison correspondence project. And basically what that is I got on the internet and I went to some websites and I found out the address of different inmates and facilities around the country, and I just started writing. I'm a writer by trade, so what I would do is I would send articles, essays, because who's best else to assess your writing ability than people who are in a position where a lot of times that's all they have an opportunity to do. So I started to develop relationships with brothers and sisters all around the country. Los Angeles, Oklahoma, Florida, Connecticut. And from that, I started doing youth mentorship programs here in the city. And eventually, I got some of my students to start writing prison correspondence letters to some inmates in different facilities. Now, one experience I had, I was working at one youth mentorship program, and one of the directors there kind of got wind of what I was doing, and she came at me and she said, I really don't know if it's too safe if you should have, your students writing letters to people who are incarcerated, because what if they get out? And I looked at her, I said, they're not writing to Jason Voorhees off of Friday the 13th. I know a lot of the people who are incarcerated, and just by the show of hands, some of you have been incarcerated, some of you have family members that are incarcerated, and simply because a person makes a mistake in their life, it doesn't mean they're a bad person, because I know everybody in here is not bad, and I know that everybody that may be incarcerated that's in your family is not necessarily bad. Now, I have these statistics up here for a reason. America has the highest prison incarceration rate out of any country in the world, and these rates have almost quintupled since the early 1970s. Between 1972 and 2008, the incarceration of state inmates grew 708%. 52% of state inmates, 73.7% of jail inmates, and 87.6% of federal inmates were imprisoned for nonviolent offenses, which involve neither harm nor the threat of harm to a victim. So what that basically means is a lot of the people that you see that's incarcerated is not because they killed somebody. And it's not because they necessarily harmed an actual person. They may have committed crimes to property or to businesses and things of that nature. It's not because it was something that was physical harm. And then the last one, minorities, which are black, Hispanic, and other people of color, make up almost 70% of the American prison system population, yet only 30% of the U.S. population. More than 1 in 3 young black men without a high school diploma is currently incarcerated. And young black men who are high school dropouts are more likely to be incarcerated than employed. Now that's a big problem. All of us that live in this community, we may not know those statistics, but we can see that statistic just by the lack of employment, the type of crime that we see going on in our communities, and also the criminalization of a lot of our young black males in the society. Now, the structure of tonight's program, the first thing I'm going to do is show a 30-minute documentary that I created in one of my youth mentorship programs, and it's called The Three Wise Men. And after I show the documentary, I'm going to have a short question and answer period, because some of you may have questions about why I created the documentary the way that I did, what did I mean by putting this in that documentary. And from that point, we're going to have one of my brothers do a presentation about his program that he's doing out in Buffalo and throughout the United States. And then we're going to go into a panel discussion with some of the people in the community that have either been incarcerated themselves or have family members that are incarcerated, so that you can get the inside story. Now, what you'll notice is you won't really see any people in the political community here. You won't see too many people in law enforcement here, because I think if that's the kind of information you want, you could watch the news later. Or you could look at the paper earlier today and look at the crime section if you want their perspective. This is not what this is. This is an event where you can get the story from the inside out. Most of the time when you hear about crime, most of the time when you hear about these statistics, you have people who are telling you this, who ride through your community, going to Tim Hortons, and they don't stop on their way. So you have them telling you who you are, and a lot of them never really experienced what it means to be in a situation like that. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this forum too. Not for me to necessarily speak, but to provide this opportunity for brothers and sisters that have been there, and you can get this information so you know for a fact what's actually going on. So right now, I'm getting ready to go into this documentary, The Three Wise Men, and then also I'm doing a Black History trivia throughout this event as well. And the Black History trivia, if you notice the flyers that I had, the theme of this event is locked up but not locked down. It's a collaboration event with one of my brothers that has a publishing company down in Atlanta, and he donated some books to me, and I'm going to be giving out books to the audience members throughout the program. Now, the Black History trivia is going to be based upon the information that you're learning tonight. I'm not going to ask you about Dr. Martin Luther King. You probably answered enough of those questions today. This is Black history right now that we're making and creating. So I'm going to jot down notes throughout the midst of this program. Some of the things that the brothers and the sisters that's going to be sharing, I don't know what they're going to talk about. But I'm going to make sure I take notes, and then eventually throughout the program, I'm going to ask the audience members some questions about the things that you just heard them say. And whoever gets it right, then you won yourself a book. Okay? So right now I'm getting ready to go into this documentary. And again, I thank everybody for coming out.
I want you to imagine for a moment that this black screen were a weapon. A weapon like a gun that is pointed directly at you. The video that you're about to see are the bullets inside of this gun. Bullets that are designed to kill lies that we often learn about ourselves, each other, and the world around us. See, television simply means to tell lies to our vision. And the only way to kill a lie is with the truth. Now, with that said, here's a true story of the three wise men.
Yeah, this song is dedicated. Three wise men, the children of life, the children of life, peace out of life. This song is dedicated. Three wise men, three wise men. I was once a kid, but I read the struggles of my people. Fight evil before they live one breath or walk one step. They're conscious, undetected. Three wise men, defined men in a time when every young boy got destroyed because they prophets. Born from women of vision. Listen to the children building with hands of ancestors. Optimists rise like weather. Raise your hands like you glad you met her. Trace back like heritage and plain facts. We came back to let the negative drown. Breathing our culture even. From Noah to Jonah. Maker, owner. Cream of the planet, y'all. In your eyes I see God like Saul. Three wise men. Three wise men.
I'd say just before adolescence, I'd say around age 9, 10, I think things start to get real complicated. And by the time they're 12 or 13, I think things are very complicated. And if they're not careful, and if they don't have good guidance or good role models, I think that, it's easy to get in trouble. It's easy to go the wrong way.
Okay. What you want to use a gun for? What you want to be when you get older?
Pope.
Who?
Popo.
What?
Police.
Oh, okay. What kind of policeman?
NYPD.
NYPD? Not LAPD?
Nah, NYPD.
Okay. Why you want to be a police officer?
You think because you got a badge and I got a couple of degrees, that makes a difference? Do you know what white folks call people like you and me in private? Niggas, dogs. Niggas.
Okay, let me see. Let me see what the name of it is.
Tell them when you start.
Okay, without sanctuary. Okay, now, you gotta tell me a little bit about that book.
And on this page. See?
Why do you think they're doing that?
Cause so they could do body parts and so they could chop it up and they could eat it.
Power is the truth. Now I study 120 like a blanket and some soup for the cold and the hungry. Poly with the youth and in time learn to love me. Arm, leg, arm, head, no one above me. Build to be destroyed. You might find me where the thugs get. Resurrecting beautiful dimes that turn ugly. These is therapeutical lines. You can trust me. God crushed the devil inside his own psyche. It's A-Rule, master of self in a white tee. Metal mouse, whips and chains don't excite me. My people been whipped and chained throughout history. You thinking about doing the same, you not listening. I walk hand in hand with the sun. I stay glistening and everything begins with the one. And my mission is to get it in until it get done. Ain't no difference just cause things change, the battle ain't won.
Let's look at how long blacks been in America. 400 years? Yeah. Let's look how long Spanish been coming over from Cuba. Been over here 1, 2 generations, maybe 3 if they lucky. How is it that they have as many people in college as we do when we've been here longer than that? Because we work backwards. As a people, we work backwards.
This is the only way you work forward, by this camera right here. I respect that, Joe.
Only will we make much mention.
Be meaning to speak of.
Mention of thy name.
What are you doing here, ma'am? Let me see what you got there. Give it to me, ma'am. Give it to me. Damn. You can read, can't you? And write. Who learned you, ma'am? It was you, huh, Cicero? Damn, get out of here. My papa done well to sell you. Reading, hell, you know what you can get for reading. Go on.
Stop me! Stop me! Stop me!
My name ain't Dub.
Is that your name right there?
Yeah, that's my name.
Oh, I just seen that. That's your cousin too?
Let's spend some money out here. Hey, yo. I found that shit out there. Huh? Yo,
This is Katie and Ellen. I hope they'll be to your liking.
Suit me fine.
Good night, then.
Thank you. Good night. You a virgin?
Listen, ain't, huh, Katie?
Cause ma'am, you take the virgin. I don't care.
There's a lot of kids on this street.
Yeah, nah. What?
Huh?
Yeah, let's go now. We gonna go to Pizza Hut?
I don't care.
You like Pizza Hut?
Black men represent about 44% of the men in prison or jail. Yet they are just 12% of America.
Left?
Less.
Left?
I said less here.
Yup.
Your leg? Your legs are too short.
You could draw. You could
Sure
draw.
can.
You good?
Sure can.
Yeah.
I'm drawing.
I could just get one menu, it's fine.
You want something to drink?
What's the color?
You want some crayons?
Okay,
crayons are 55 cents each.
No.
Yeah, they are.
Look, what is I'm supposed to color in?
Okay, if you go sweep the parking lot, I'll give them to you for free. Is that a deal?
Go do what to the parking lot?
Sweep it.
Sweep the parking lot and give me the whole building.
And mop it.
No doubt, Jay.
Give me the whole building and I'll sweep it.
You want the whole building if you sweep it? They don't give me the whole building and I sweep it.
Never. But they gotta give me the whole building.
You guys want something to drink?
Yep. Yeah.
Get down there.
The sun is set so the moon can rise, but we here for the stars so that they can shine. You can build on these balls, I'ma aim divine. More years, more flaws, more guys to find, but hey yo, my God's defined, it ain't no mystery. Man in the sky, you blind, and it's plain to see, so I don't need no signs. And what you think of me won't even enter my mind, but you can think of me as if I entered your mind. An intercourse with your brain like it's mating time. And the force might be pain, but these days and times, you see, gotta be strong when it's planting time. One time sunshine from up above, rain down on me, shower me with love. Elevate your mind, power, what you thinking of? Most sweet and sour, build my people right back up. Cause it's nothing but the God in me. And I'ma walk the earth for you to see. Mind power, elevated sun shower, baby dreams making mothers scream. Gunpowder, steady penetrating young cowards all for the green, you know what I mean? Blow smoke over horizons and ain't no compromising. I fight to the death and what's left when the web of my breath untangles was kept inside. Souls making a mess and I'm stressed to the tip with the art. The zenith rip it apart. I mean the slipping these darts and Venuses. Some won't accept the fact that I'm jet black and his pointy apples can't penetrate that. Moving too fast for you physical cats. I'm holding spiritual gats. Ain't no messing with that. Higher than any cause you can flip through a map, but you gon' find where we at, cause this is more than just rap. One time sunshine from up above, rain down on me, shower me with love. Elevate your mind, power, what you thinking of? Most sweet and sour, build my people right back up. Cause it's nothing but the God in me.
What it describe fine to me then, so I know what it is when I see it.
I don't need to say it on tape.
But I'm saying though, what is fine?
Yeah.
So I'm able to determine what fine is. I could be walking around not knowing what it is. So how do you describe it?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Ugly does.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Call me little man, but I catch my name. Look at the light bar stuck all up in the chain. You catch me in the schoolyard, try to get in our school. Was never playhouse, but we could play in the schoolyard. Now little man ain't that tight, that's why I keep my head in the bus. Then come in there, this start to write. I do my homework at school, then hop on my bike. Well, no. I can't wait until I get up so I can get my cash right. Whoa, your boat gently down the stream. Mary, 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 I care about the queen. Get out of me! Tell you, how you going about that?
This yours?
I'm gonna see.
I'm gonna give you a seat too. You have a seat right there, don't move. Don't move. Okay? He hit you and he was wrong, but that don't mean you run back and hit him.
Yeah, that do mean you run back.
Okay? Now you guys don't need to play. Whose radios are they?
Mine.
They're yours? Where are the two radios?
I don't got it.
Where did you put it?
Right here.
Okay, why don't you look in the couch and get your radios? Y'all don't have to trade that stuff no more. Y'all can see each other when you're not here. Don't move from there until I tell you you can move. All right? Because coming here is not right. You don't have to come here.
Sorry, stop taping that. You just stop taping
Okay, why don't you
that.
go find your radios?
Come on, Ty here. Right here.
You got them?
Oh, let me
Okay,
see
why don't you
those.
go on back inside and do what you were doing?
Which one's on?
Don't move from there.
They ain't even funny at all.
Why are you laughing?
But you taping them.
But I'm not laughing though. You're grinning.
That's what I always do.
If there's something you don't like, that does not give you the right to hit him.
Oh, he pushed me first.
First of all, before you even think about a girl, right? You gotta think about yourself first. And then when you get yourself in order, right? Then
Live it out, you know what I'm saying? Cause like what you
once you qualify yourself, then you can think about qualifying for a woman. Or you work on yourself, right? Then after that, then you just look for your reflection. Your woman should be like your mirror reflection of you. So all the good qualities you have, you look for that in a woman because she'll help add on to whom what you are. So she gotta think like you do too. Because if she's thinking a total opposite, that's what you
But I ain't.
I know that.
But you still.
In the science of life, but can't keep his last five from dying boys to save his life. You can say it's tripe, but we all in the same bag. You can say it's life. We got excuses going mad. 3 o'clock in the morning, watching the snow fall. On the edge of my bed, my still shadow hits the wall. My addiction is clearly unsatisfied, no doubt. I'll be there all night, looking uptight, feeling mad if I didn't throw on my boots and shoot down the avenue.
Yo, how old are you?
For me?
Yeah.
12.
Okay. What about you?
6.
Okay. What about you?
On the dog? Oh, 13.
Okay.
13.
Oh, you know me, I'm 14 as a pimp. No, I'm 14. Hold up, don't go to me yet.
How old is you?
Okay, he said hold up. I'm a sport. So if you want sports, just come to me.
Okay. What you mean? What kind of sports?
Football, all day.
Basketball, man.
Basketball, man. Basketball, football, Eastside Riders.
Oh, word?
Basketball all day. Basketball. Let's stop with basketball.
Okay. What y'all think about school?
School. And teachers are ignorant.
Too smart. These are my sons right here. Too smart.
I know that's my son right here.
You know, I can't figure you, man.
What's the figure?
I mean, what are you in this for? You want power, you want revenge, you know? What is it?
It's simple, Willie. I just want to be free. How about you?
So do I.
And I hate white folks. Hate white folks. This is not about hate white folks. It's about love and freedom enough to die or kill for it if necessary. Now you're gonna need more than hate to sustain you when this thing begins. Now if you feel that way, you're no good to us and you're no good to yourself.
And what you think? What's wrong with that picture?
Cause he white and he black. He looking at this. No, I know. He black and he looking in the mirror, so he think that is him.
And that's not right?
Huh?
Is that wrong?
Yep.
Why is that wrong?
Cause he really black and he really white. And when he look in the mirror, he seems like he white.
Okay, so so what should he really be seeing in that mirror?
His face.
His own face?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, let me. Okay. Tell me some things you think about.
Africa.
What else?
Jamaica. Welcome to Jamaica. Welcome to Jamaica.
That's all.
When somebody mentions or says the word Africa, what you think about? You gotta speak up though.
The image you are about to see was taken from a video about Africa that shows you a mother and baby gorilla in the forest. This is the original music they used in this scene, so pay attention to how they want to make you feel about gorillas.
Somebody mentions or says the word Africa, what you think about? You gotta speak up though.
Gorillas are vegetarians, which means that they only eat plants. So truthfully, they are very gentle animals. They aren't hunters. They don't eat meat, and they are peaceful by nature. Let's look at this same scene with different music so you can see how get down. The lesson here is don't just believe everything that people tell you. Go check it out for yourself, and then you decide if it's true.
He's sitting by a garden and that's dirty on the floor. And the white people hanging them up by a tree. That's that. That's it. Like this. But that messed up. I gotta take this off. I forgot what page
I think if a white person saw this, they'll rip it up.
What?
Nothing black.
What?
What a race. White people anyway.
You think it'll make them upset or something?
If they're racist, yeah.
Do you experience that?
No. Sometimes.
Where?
School.
With other students or teachers or what?
Kids.
So how do you know they're racist? What they do to let you know that they don't like you?
Sometimes they be saying it. Other times they just be acting like it.
Like what do they do to say it?
If some white people, if a black person go around them, they be talking about them. But if any white person go around them, they'll, hey, what's up?
Here we have a capital woman and her 3 children, all in good health. What will you say for them? Give me an offer. I'll put the whole lot up for $850.
You should go around to the graveyard. All I know is my sister is in one.
Go on that
I want to know which one my grandfather is. I want to know which one my grandfather is and which one my sister is in.
School is what? What's the point about school?
Okay, here. Pick a card.
And so it ain't always, you know what I'm saying, first impressions, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's always the last one that count, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I go by out here in these streets, man, you know what I'm saying?
Second game, man. Second game.
You right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
You use your left hand?
Talk about some basketball, man.
Do you use your left hand too?
No, man.
I use my left hand. I use every hand.
I'm talking about basketball, man.
Yeah, about how far you can get mentally, man. 120%. Mind, body, and soul, 360 degrees, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
I know a little something on that,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I build, you know, you a real recognized real once you go upstate, you know what I'm saying, or something.
Yeah.
You know, I just came home from doing 3.5, you know what I'm saying? So
Oh, word.
It's different, it's different up there, you know what I'm saying? You see where a nigga really counted, you know what I'm saying?
Hold on! Bill! We're fighting! Hold on!
Nigga on camera. DeVille, this you, nigga. Come on.
We out of here, man. We out of here.
Within yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? If it's hard, if you feeling it's hard, you know what I'm saying? Can't nobody get through that, you know what I'm saying, better than you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta understand yourself and other people, man.
No
You
doubt.
gotta understand yourself and other people, who you understand. You don't know what, you ain't got to fix it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How old are you?
6.
Okay. Now, you know anything about Africa?
No?
You don't know nothing about it?
No?
Diamonds were found over the border to the north in German Southwest Africa. A young German-born diamond dealer in South Africa went there to investigate. His name was Ernest Oppenheimer.
Ernest Oppenheimer, in 1914, 2 months before the outbreak of war, went there to survey the territory and came back with a report that was mind-boggling and subsequently hidden from the public. The fact that this was the richest diamond field in the history of the world. It was an alluvial field, meaning diamonds were on the surface, you could go pick them up. And in fact, they put what they termed back then natives, black natives, each put a tin can around their neck, and they line them up, and they get on their hands and knees, and they just pink, 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 put the diamonds into the tin cans as they walked on their hands and knees. This is how rich the fields were.
Would you go to Africa? Why?
Yeah. So I can speak the word to black people. So I can
Christ was condemned to death by the Jews as a political offender. Giving it up about this African right here. This is the oldest portrait of Jesus, by the way, 300 AD. But they said Christ was condemned to death by the Jews as a political offender. It says here, embarrassing fact that Jesus was actually executed as a political offender. What was Jesus saying back then? Let's go in the Bible where some of the preachers don't want to take us. Instead of going by it, what does Jesus say in chapter 2, verse 9? This African revolutionary, that's who he was. In tribulations and poverty that we're in now, meaning African people. But thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them would say that they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Jesus be looked at as an
anti. You know what I'm saying? Like before I went to prison, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot it's a lot that I care for, that you know what I'm saying, that I know is still for something. And now it seems like they're not really trying to stand for really much no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Shit hurt, but I kind of got a feeling inside my brain, you know what I'm saying, that it could happen once more, you feel me? You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
What's in the dark shall come to the light, you know what I'm saying? So.
They just walk right out of the auditorium, like, you know, was kind of offended by that. But Dad, stand up for a second. Please, please. If any of y'all are offended at me for some of the images that I put on there, this is my father, and he's the one that introduced me to a lot of these ideas when I was little. He's the one that was showing me the spook that sat by the door, and Mandingo, and Drum, and all of these other movies that gave me a sense of consciousness and a sense of culture. And so if you got a problem with me, you got a problem with this man right here. You gotta take it up with him. We have a few people that help with the project. My brother Eugene, you want to come up here, please? Yeah, and you saw him in the film. Malik, come on. He was in the film as well. Dave, you was in the film. I had some music in there for you. My brother right here. Go to son, come up. He did some music production in the film too. And you know, a lot of the things that I strive to show in this is the context or the relationship of where we're at now as a people and where a lot of these things come from. Because a lot of times when people evaluate us or they say, you know, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and, you know, go get a job or go do this, that, and the third, they don't understand that, hey, you people had a 189-year head start on us, you know? So if anybody has any questions or whatever, you know, about anybody that was involved in the project, we got any questions?
Are you always grinning?
Yeah, that's gonna happen. I get it from that nigga for your lady over there, though. Yes,
You gonna make her cry. You gonna make her cry.
How old is the video?
I had to be, like 7 years.
And you what now?
15.
Yeah, so about, about 6 years or something like that. Yeah, he was in my youth mentorship program, one of the youth programs. Another thing too I wanted to elaborate on, if you remember the scene when we were at Pizza Hut, and that was the manager that came over and was picking with Jason, saying little slick stuff to him, like, you want to go outside and sweep the parking lot? You know, you want to pay for these crayons and stuff like that? But Jason was only 6 years old, and you see the way he handled him? So.
Hi, my name is Eugene Fred. This was fun. You know, we did it out of the program. You know, I had been involved in shooting video and in writing for years. I'm a writer. And I'm always amazed at what comes out of the mouth of our children. They say out of the mouth of babes. We should listen more. But more importantly, you know, these same kids go to school and people tell them that they're not intelligent. Now, you heard a 6-year-old respond to a manager at a store, and clearly this kid knew his worth, you know, and he wasn't afraid. You know, he hadn't learned yet to edit himself, and I thought that was a wonderful thing. And Saladin was correct. You know, when we showed this, people got up and walked out. And we didn't think anything was unusual about it. I mean, these are movies that played in theaters. This is really public information. And what's amazing to me is how much we don't know about the history of America, how much we don't know even about what our young people have to deal with every day when they go out into the world. And how much intelligence, you know, and how much strength they show every day. So I'm hoping that we do more of this kind of stuff and have more support from the community in propagating positive images of some of these young people.
I just have a comment and then a question. It's like the Caucasian people don't find a sense to when they're watching it in private, but they find offense when it's us showing them what they showed us that many years ago. So the offense doesn't come up until you're the one exposing it for what it really was. It's never an offense to them when they're behind closed doors and buddy laughing about what they did to us. And the other thing was, where are the other two youths that were in there? Like, how was their progress?
Well, some of them, they're still here in the city, and the good thing about it is, the scene that you saw when I asked all of the young brothers what their ages are, most of them right now is hustling, or in some type of juvenile detention, somewhere caught up, whether it's pens, or they're somehow caught up in the system. You know, the one that was 6 years old, he's caught up, other brothers that's caught up. Now, the other two that the documentary focused on, none of them are currently involved with like the criminal justice system or nothing like that. But that is more the exception than the rule. You know, some years before I was doing this, me and my brother, we had a home that we just opened up to the community. So we built a recording studio there, and we would have youth over our house all the time, just showing them how to produce music, record music, and just teaching them in between, you know, the process. And most of those youth right now are either in a state correctional facility right now, or they just came back from a state correctional facility. So I'm just saying all of that to say that it's important that we have programs in place, especially with males, dealing with other males, you know, so that we can continue to transfer our wisdom that we have to show them a lot of these pitfalls that's going on in society so that they don't get caught up the same way that maybe some of us may have gotten caught up or others in our family. So at this point, what do you know? Oh, you got a question?
It's not a question, it's basically a statement of another possible alternative of why some Caucasians, as you said, walked out. It might have been where some might have been offensive. It could have been where they was embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
Of seeing the things that was portrayed about something their forefathers or forepersons did in the past, right? So it might not have been where it offended them. They could have been embarrassed of the situation, so they got out. I mean, it's just something else to look about, look at it, you know, because some people, Caucasians, don't like that either, and they might not know how to handle it in this environment. So that's just my opinion on that. So I'd like to say it's a good video, and he was in the show, right? One of the guys, the three wise men, and what I like about it is that you said most of the ones you showed about the ages is hustling and stuff. That's a success story from what I'm seeing right now. So I think that's a great thing right there.
Yeah. And the reason too why it's called the three wise men is because you can't be you don't become a wise person without going through some trials and tribulations and struggles and learning. So a lot of times when people talk about wisdom and a person being a wise man, they don't talk about how they were as children, things that they actually had to go through to get to where they're actually at in life. So I just wanted to, it was just kind of a play on that particular concept.
The home that you and your brother opened, is it still open?
No. At one point, we were striving to buy the property. And the people who were owning the property was living out in California. They didn't want to sell it. So to this day, I could walk by this property and see it has no porch, the roof is falling off of it, all of that. And that's one of the type of phenomena that you see here in this community itself. A lot of people hold on to property that they're not using, and you come along and say, you know what? I have a beautiful idea to turn this into a home for a family or to make this into a business and things like that. And people a lot of times just don't want to be a part of something like that. And that's something that I've seen, you know, all throughout this city.
Are they still not trying to let the property go, or y'all just looking for a different property?
Well, right now, I think that all of the piping is taken out of it, sold and smoked. So it probably wouldn't be a good investment to get that property today.
think one of the issues in Niagara Falls that you pointed out is that you have a lot of people from outside of the area buying property, hoping and waiting for Niagara Falls to come back. So they're, perspective and hoping everything will come back, and that just it kind of stops development in terms of trying to do things you're trying to do. But the building is dilapidated. It's like I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm going to hope something comes through, and when it doesn't, it just leads to the blight that we have in the neighborhood that we have.
Really quickly, there was me and my husband were at a speaking engagement, and someone asked about how early or how young should the children be. He has an 8-year-old in his group, and he's like, that's when you need to talk to them, 6, 7, 6, 7, and 8, right before 4th grade, because that's when their dynamic of changes, like their visual changes. They start to see more of the effects of racism or being unequal, so they start to visualize that. And in my own experience, my daughter was in speech when she told me one day that she wanted to have my color skin. Now she's 18, but she said she wanted my color skin and my hair because they treat people that look like me better than they do the people that look like her. And there was only 2 of them. And I said, well, what is it that, this is preschool, Head Start. I'm like, what would they do to a child? And she said they put them in the closet as punishment. So like the little cubbies, they make them sit in these cubbies as a punishment, but they would not punish the other children. So even more so, she was only 3 when she said that to me. So we really have to teach them very young, because that's when it's most impactful, so that they don't grow up thinking that's the image they should portray or be. That even at that young age, they can speak up and say, well, I'm not mouthing the thing for friends, whatever it was. So that they will be able to articulate it, as well as he was doing it from maybe not being trained to do it, but he was trained to say it with authority, even at that.
Yeah, because the thing about it is, as you saw in that clip, he was a grown man. He didn't care if he was young. He didn't care if he had any experience or something like that. Hey, and a lot of times that gives a person an advantage, and you know how it is growing up. A lot of times people make themselves rich off your lack of knowing something. I mean, if you knew how to fix your own car, you wouldn't have to go to no mechanic. So they're not necessarily going to throw the hood up and be like, I'm going to show you exactly what I did, so that next time this problem comes up, you can go fix it yourself. Same thing with doctors. They're not going to necessarily heal you. They're going to treat you. They're going to say, well, you got that problem, I'm going to give you this pill, and it's going to have some side effects, so let me give you this pill too to take care of that side effect, and then, oh man, I'm going to have to give you another pill to take care of that side effect too. Next thing you know, you're leaving out of the doctor's office with 3 or 4 different medications and going back to see them next month. Now, if they healed you, they would be out of a job, so it's not in their necessary best interest to perform that service for you. So it's a lot of the same ways with, the education system, with how you see sometimes adults handling children. If you're ignorant, you don't know, that's your loss. So like you said, yeah, it's important to educate them as young as possible so that they're prepared and they know what to expect when they're dealing with elements in the society that may not really have their best interests at heart.
I've been talking to a lot of people in the community about education, and we've been kicking this around for a long time. And there are all kinds of education, and we probably relate most directly to formal education that you get in school, which we all need. Unfortunately, that's not enough information. And so you can go to school, be an excellent student, and not know squat about the real history of America. And it's unfortunate. And I think why some people are uncomfortable when they see things like this is because, number one, they don't know. Number two, they see it and they don't want to believe it because they're associated with it. But we need to know this information, and it's not wrong. You're not teaching your children to hate. You're teaching your children information that they need to live, as you said, to make good decisions and decide how to react to certain situations. So education is key, and I don't think it's going to happen in schools. It has to happen in communities. It has to happen in community centers. It's got to happen in churches on Saturday. It's got to happen in a lot of different places, but it's not going to happen in school.
All right, so now the next segment of the program, we're going to be going into a presentation. This is my brother, Rob Harris, and he's the CEO and owner of a program that is based out of Buffalo, New York. It's called Youth Prison Prevention Project. And he's going to share some of his experiences and what his program is actually about, and basically inform some of you about what this program is and some of the things that he's gone through as far as going through the prison industrial complex and what he's doing today. Brother Rob.
How's everybody doing today? This is a serious topic that we're talking about today, because we're talking about the lives of ourselves and of our youth. And as I look around, all I see is people of color. And that's a good thing. So give yourself a hand for even being here today. Now, I saw a lot of people raise their hands as far as like being incarcerated or knowing someone that's incarcerated. I'm not asking the people that know someone incarcerated. If you've been incarcerated before, just raise your hand up real quick. If you've been incarcerated. Okay. I got a little poem for you to get this thing kicked off here. This poem is called Shackles, and it's dealing with the prison system. In this poem I say prison is slavery equal to plantation, humiliation, liquid handcuff medication, correctional officers causing a confrontation. I really want to hurt this man by strangulation. My classifications changed my designation. Orientation gave me an evaluation. The psychiatrist said, I need consultation. My name was wrong on my identification. The justice system's committing impersonation and erasing all documentation. Taxation's enslaving the population, manipulation. Add that to the equation. The police had us under investigation. The DA came with cross-examinations, probations, testing the brother's urination. Sent back to prison for a stupid violation. That's the shackles, y'all. My name is Robert A. Harris, Sr. I'm the president and CEO of the Youth Prison Prevention Project. This program was designed to help keep our youth out of prison, but this year I'm also striving to keep our youth out of the coffin. How many knows what it means when you see a teddy bear on a light pole or on a telephone pole? Right? That means somebody got killed, right?
Yes.
But when I look at it, what I see is 9 times out of 10, a black person killed another black person. That's what I see. A black person has killed another black person. I started the Youth Prison Prevention Project because I myself have been in prison numerous amounts of times. I have 5 felonies. I have 2 felonies in Erie County. I have 2 federal felonies. And I have 1 felony in the state of New York prison system. So I ran the whole gamut of the prison, as he said, industry. All right? Now, what I saw in my last prison stay is I saw a lot of young people in jail, a lot of young people in prison. And at least 70 to 80% of them do not have a high school education. So what happens is they go in and out, as I did. Now here I am, a man with a college degree going back and forth from jail. And I really had no clue. So I know these young boys have no clue. And this is what prompted me to start the Youth Prison Prevention Project, to educate the youth on not only the traps of the streets, but also the traps of the governmental prison system. All right? So this is my goal, is to keep them out of prison and to keep them out of jail. How many in here knows what the Emancipation Proclamation is? Not too many people, huh? The Emancipation Proclamation is what's supposed to have freed the slaves, Abraham Lincoln. They say that, how do you hide information from a black person? Put it in a book. How many of us hated history in school? Come on, if you hated history in school, raise your hand. Come on now. So all the people that got their hand down loved history then, right? All right. So the Emancipation Proclamation is what freed the slaves, right? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What freed the slaves was the 13th Amendment of the Constitution, for the history buffs. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free the slaves. There's a clause in the 13th Amendment. Now, everybody needs to pay close attention to this, because when I was in prison, I learned this and it blew me away. You understand? They really hid this in the book. There's a clause in the 13th Amendment. The first thing it says is that there can be no slavery or involuntary servitude except as punishment for crime. I'm going to say that again. That's right. There can be no slavery or involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime. So when Brother Saladin showed us the statistics up there that 70% of the people in prison are people of color, guess what? They turned those people into legal slaves. Us. Everybody that's in here. Everybody that raised their hand that knows somebody in the prison system, those people are legal slaves. Prison is big business. A corporate entity. There's a great majority of prisons that are privatized. Kellogg's owns prisons. The cereal we eat, those people own prisons. Anybody ever know who Bob Barker is? Let's make a deal. Bob Barker has soap products that he's selling in the prison system. He has sneakers that he's selling in the prison system, and uniforms that he's selling in the prison system. Toothpaste too? Hey, he making money, ain't he? Talk about the price is right and let's make a deal. Come on. He's doing his thing. There was a black superintendent of Buffalo school system. Something else that blew me away. They forced this man to retire. What really made him retire, that the straw that broke the camel's back, was he told the truth. He said that the school system is designed for us to fail. So all of us are sending our children to school thinking that they're going to get an education, thinking that they're going to go to college and do this and the third. How many people here have a college degree? How many of you have a job on the degree that you went to school for? Exactly. The school system is designed for us to fail. How many know what Willie Lynch is? The Willie Lynch syndrome. Very good. Very good. I recommend everybody to investigate that so deeply that you never get trapped off in this Willie Lynch syndrome, and make sure that anybody next to you don't get trapped off into that. Do everything you can to educate the young people about it, and then go re-educate yourself about it. Look up everything that you can. I mean, this is the greatest information age in existence of the whole world. You have information right at your fingertips on this laptop, my man. You got information right there at your fingertips on your phone, the smartphone. Look these things up. Don't just Facebook and stuff like that. Look this stuff up and educate yourself for real, because you got the whole world at your fingertips. Now, one of the things that I talk about in my seminars and workshops with the youth that I work with is the traps of the streets. We just went over the traps of the government. There's so many other ones. I can spend a whole seminar just talking about the governmental traps. But then we got these traps in the streets, all right? And the upbringing of our youth. A lot of our youth are growing up in single-parent homes. They're growing up around drug abuse. They already have, some of them have developmental disabilities. Then they got the peer pressure. You got their friends with the nice car. You got their friends with the nice jewels, the nice clothes, a pocket full of money, bling blinging. And how do they get this money? Selling drugs on the corner, owning trap houses. So obviously, if daddy is working at Chevy or Ford and he might be making 20, sometimes even $30 an hour, but coming home tired, coming home because he cussing out his boss or whatever, doing all the overtime and stuff, and he sees daddy is not there, he's like, I don't want to live like dad. Dad's always grumpy, even though he got money. He's never there anyway, so all he really is just a person that gives me money. He's really not there because he's always working and always mad. You don't want to be like that. You want to be like this man down there. You want to be like JoJo down the street, bling blinging with all the girls. This is what our kids face. Other issues they face is sexual abuse. A lot of people don't want to talk about that one right there. Date rapes. They also suffer from things like abuse in the home, sexual abuse in the home. I have a friend that was actually raped by a female cousin. A guy friend raped by a female cousin. So this stuff is what our children are growing up with. And they're growing up fast because they're seeing all this stuff on the internet, they're seeing all this stuff on television, all this stuff in the movies. And those are some of the biggest traps, some of the biggest things that we have as parents have to challenge as well, because what's the hottest rap songs out right now? The ones that's talking about the same thing we just talked about, the bling bling, who got the most cars, who got the most money, who got the most guns, who can kill the next person. That's what they talk about in the rap music. What's the hottest video games? The ones that they shooting somebody. So now they're desensitized about shooting a person. What's the hottest movies? The ones that's blowing stuff up. You see? So they're being totally desensitized by all this stuff. And inadvertently, we as grown people are also being desensitized. That's why I don't even watch the news anymore. Well, rarely do I watch the news anyway, because I know what they're going to talk about. Update at 11, somebody got killed, somebody got murdered, somebody got robbed. They do that for about, what, 20 minutes, and then they put like 3 minutes of some good. You know what I'm saying?
The weather.
Oh, the weather. Yeah, I call 8444444 for the weather. The solutions that I see in this, and this is what I do with my program. The first thing is that the men got to step it up. That's the bottom line. The men got to step it up. This is the greatest moment in black history, in the history of American black history. In Buffalo, we have a black mayor. We just got finished having a black governor, and we have a black president. We're at the apex of black history, and they're trying to make it, if you're paying attention to what the government is doing, they're trying to make it like it don't mean nothing, like it was like they shouldn't have did it. Like they're remorseful that they have Obama in there and Patterson, you know? And they're trying to do something about Byron Brown too. The thing I concentrate on is a holistic approach with my youth. Balance is one of the main things we talk about. Spirituality, you know, internal strength, psychological strength, you know, making sure that you keep taking care of your body physically. Family is very, very important. And as far as finances are concerned, I don't advocate getting jobs, because we just got finished saying that everybody in here who got a college degree didn't get a job for what they went to college for. So I advocate entrepreneurship. I run a lot of entrepreneurship workshops and seminars in Buffalo, and hopefully to be expanded some of the stuff over here to the Falls and Rochester and Syracuse and so forth. But then it's about the people that you connect with. Because as I alluded to, our children is connected with JoJo down the street who's selling drugs. That's why I said the men have to step up. We have to show these young people something better than what's out in the streets. We have to lead by example. And that's what I really strive to do. And they identify with me because I talk the rap language with them, and on top of that, I got all these felonies. So I can speak with authority when I talk to these youth about the prison system, about the traps, about the drugs, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I can speak to them about that as well. On the flip side of that, we have to show them how to identify and avoid what I call split-second distractions. Because distractions happen in a blink. You can just blink your eye and there's a distraction. We could be having a conversation right here, and then something happens over there, and no longer are we talking about something positive. We over here with the negativity. Negativity is all around us, everywhere we look. We just talked about in the news and so forth and so on in the communities. We have to learn how to and it's very difficult because it's all around us, but we have to learn how to turn a deaf ear to that negativity, turn a deaf ear to the destruction and the corruption, and really focus on what's right, what's positive, and what's going to make a difference in our community and what's going to make a difference in our children. I mean, I'm not preaching to you right now, but even in the Bible, right, when Peter walked on the water towards Jesus, right, when he looked around at the waves, he fell in. But as long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he kept walking on the water. Right. That was a miracle. He was actually doing a miracle until he took his eyes off the source. So that's why I really advocate spirituality, because that's our source. And when I say spirituality, I'm not talking about religion. You know, I mean, you could be a Christian, you could be a Buddhist, you could be a Muslim. It don't matter. But if that's what you are, be that. You know what I'm saying? Be that. In conclusion, somebody was talking about, what's the brother? This brother right here. You were in the video too, right? Yeah, that's the brother. He was talking about alternative education, right? That's one of the things that I advocate, because as we already said, the school system is designed for us to fail. So if we know that, as parents, as grandparents, as brothers, sisters, cousins, uncle, auntie, nieces, nephew, we need to grab our children and give them the alternative education that they're not getting in school. Go grab them and take them to the library and show them the real. Pull it up on Google, show them the real. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think Obama was the first black president. Not true. Look up, what's his name?
Look up the
Harding.
Look up the Continental Congress.
Yeah. Look up Warren Harding, too. Google that. Also, again, continue to educate yourself on the Willie Lynch syndrome, because that's one of the things that kept me out of jail. And by the way, I only got out of jail 16 months ago. And because of my work in the community, they let me off a year early off of parole. So my final words is, I challenge every man in here to grab a black, especially a black young boy, pull him up. If you can't grab a group of them, pull them up. You know, because we're endangered species. You know what I'm saying? We are endangered species, and they're making money off of our heads when we go through that prison system. They love us in there. I heard a guard say one day that, I'm watching you in here, and I'm training my son to watch your son. That's what they said to an inmate one day. This is my son right here. He's not going to jail. I'd be doggone if he go to jail. All right? Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're getting ready to move into the forum, panel discussion. And I just wanted to call up people that's going to be on the panel. First, I have Rick Thomas, he's a community advocate. I have Rashid Carter, he's the author here in Niagara Falls. David Walker, outreach supervisor for an organization called SNUG. Brother Lomax Byers. We have an organization called Youth Motivation. And Jackie X, she has an organization called Family Solution Center. Okay, so the way that we're basically going to do this forum is, eventually I'm going to open up questions, for the audience, if you want to ask them any questions about anything. And first we'll just start off with Xavier. Just give us a little insight into who you are, some of your experiences, and the organization that you're with.
I'm with an organization called Operation SNUG, Violence Prevention Program and Intervention. Actually, I thought about something, which was Saturday. We attended a Black History event at the Doris Jones Resource Center, and SNUG received an award. But I just realized that SNUG made history because this is the first Black anti-violence prevention and intervention program fashioned by Ceasefire to be in Niagara Falls. So we made history with that, so that's a blessing. We out in the communities, we deal with high-risk youth. We walk the streets, we build relationships with brothers and sisters in the streets. And as we do that, you know, when stuff pop off, what I mean by that is when violence jump off and there's fights, shootings or killings, then the youth feel comfortable to give us the necessary information to see if we can diffuse the problem, bring it to a halt, and interject. We go into the schools, Niagara Falls High School, Gaskill, and we're just out in the community trying to make a difference when it comes to violence in the inner city, diverse communities. I'm an individual where I came out of prison. In 05, I came home and pretty much just walked the straight and narrow. Since then, before that, I was an individual that had a violent behavior, so I understand the behavior. I was a hustler, drug dealer. I was out there. So what SNUG does is they hire credible messengers. What credible messengers mean is people with criminal backgrounds that have changed their lifestyle and has moved forward and decided to do right. And they use us to go back into that community and to help make a difference. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. I've been going in and out of jail, probably not as much as the brother here, but since the 90s I've been in and out of the system, getting in trouble up until the point of 05. So that's really where I'm at right now, just being positive and trying to give back to this community that I helped tear down. So I feel that I owe back, and that's why I'm doing SNUG. And I deal with a lot of youth, and SNUG is really affecting the community. Brothers have got jobs with SNUG, working with them. We have clients. Brothers have graduated from school, got back into school because of SNUG. So we working it, and we work it tight with our brothers in the community.
Yeah, go ahead, Rashid.
What you want me to do?
Yeah, just give everybody some insight into who you are. Who is Rashid? You know, what's some of your experiences, and what are you actually doing right now?
Wow, okay, I'm Rashid, and like my style, my life is not really that much different than a lot of other people who ended up in prison and stuff like that. I did a lot of negative things, thought I was a lot slicker, more intelligent than I actually was. Thought I knew a lot of things, so I ended up in prison and realized I didn't know much. So then right there, being in that cell by myself, I wanted to like fix myself, because I said, when I leave out of here, I'm gonna be 5 years behind everything else, but I'm gonna be 5 years deep in education and commitment and being dedicated to like not coming back here. So what I did, like everything that I learned, I realized that I had learned wrong. I had learned in error. So I had to like look at myself and tell myself that I was full of crap, that I was like a liar, a deceiver, a snake, I couldn't be trusted, that I was selfish. It hurt. It definitely hurt. But like that's how I was able to get better, by like being real with myself and admitting that to myself. And so like I just stopped pretending and stopped being afraid to be by myself and stopped being afraid to be myself and just like started experiencing myself. And during that process, I learned that I could write a little bit. You got to turn the lights up, so I'm kind of dark. But then with that happened, I realized I could write, and I ended up writing like 10 books when I was in there. In those 5 years, I had wrote like 10 books, and I had came home, and I was completely different. Like my whole attitude, my whole demeanor, my whole, everything about me was different. I wasn't cocky, I wasn't arrogant, I was humble. And I was looking for answers instead of thinking I had all the answers. And to people who knew me before that, that was crazy to them. So then I hooked up with Saladin, and he had like helped me through the book. He helped me like take it from the manuscript and put it into an actual physical book. But throughout the process of that, like throughout all of this, when I came home from prison, I had nowhere to go. Only thing I came home with was what I was wearing and like 2 net bags, 5 manuscripts in one and 5 in another one. So I had to go to a halfway house, a shelter. So like I said, I really didn't have a lot of money. Like, and I ate like sausages and rice every day until I was able to like save up the money to do what I needed to do for the book. And then like, I met Saladin, he helped me put it out. I was able to meet the mayor. I was able to do other things. And like next month, March, my 3rd book titled Sucker for Love come out, March 20th. And so like right now, I guess I'm just committed to like staying focused and living that change. And like being the person that I like committed to being. It's rough, it's definitely rough, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. And I'm Rashid, that's all I gotta say right now.
My name is Jacqueline X. I just got married to Brother Rob, who was the presenter right before this. And family is very important to me. It has always been very important to me. I have 3 daughters. One is 18. She goes to NCCC. I have a child that's 9. That one's 18. I have one that's 9, another one that's 6, and then my son is the 2-year-old boy baby that we've seen earlier. And the reason I'm on this panel is that I also had an experience with being incarcerated. But it wasn't out of, I can't talk too much about it because it's still, I haven't finished my trial, so there's things that obviously you cannot say. But I just want to say that I am a mother first, I'm a creator, and God put me on this earth to protect my children and the children, other people's children as well. So when you may commit a crime that the government might say is a crime, but God knows what you did and what you did it for. And if you did it to protect your children, then there's nothing that they can do to me. So that's how I feel, that's my conviction. Whatever decision they make, I know that what I did was right in the sight of God, to protect my children, to protect the family. And that's how I created the Family Solution Center. What my organization is still in its infancy stage, Saladin is involved in this too. We do pro-family rallies. It did not start that way. It was called the National Protest Against Family Court, is what the mission is. However, to say pro-family rally is a positive twist to solve the same problem. There's a systematic flaw that when you go to family court, it will solve your problems. We go and say, you know, you take your baby daddy there, you take your baby mama there. It's not where you need to be. So my organization is still in its grassroots stages. We still look for volunteers to either be mediators, to stand out there with us in front of family court. There's a psychological, psychiatric piece to it where we would we're going to be in this spring going out to the psychiatric centers and Catholic charities and everyone who says that they're going to help your family. One of the biggest things I've seen lately is the campaign, if it wasn't for you or whatever. If you look at the billboards, it's talking about how because you donate to Catholic charities, they help save a child. That is not true. That is a flaw. That's a misinformation. And they trick us to thinking that they're saving our children, and they're not. I pay $25 a week to go see my daughter for 1 hour. I will tell you that that is ridiculous. And right before my court date, I was told that it did not matter that I was on supervised visit, that no matter how our relationship, because she admits that it's a beautiful relationship, the unsupervised visit is based on whether or not they think I would take my child. Now, Anybody who commits something like taking your child out of the state or whatever without the father's permission, you may not have experienced that, you may know somebody else who may have done that, but the bottom line is that that's always going to be something that they're going to throw in your face. So there's no resolution. So I went to do this for 41 visits will be my next visit on Wednesday. And to tell the social worker, taking my money every week, but then turning around and saying, well, she's not basing it on whether you have a good relationship. It doesn't matter if you made the commitment and been here. So I'm like, so you took my money for 35 weeks and now you're telling me this? But anyways, long story short, our mission is to help families come together. If you do have issues, don't wait till it gets so bad that you have to file a petition. Our mission is for you to file a petition with us and groups like us. I'm trying to get it out there so other people pattern it. I don't care if they copy it. Doesn't matter to me, as long as communities need to go back to what we used to do in our, like what they do in Africa. If you got issues, that you take it to the tribe, you take it to community. You don't go and ask this person or that person to solve it. You come into your community first and you solve it within your community. So you get that auntie that loves your children, you get that best friend that knows both of y'all, you get the other one that has a couple best friends that you know together, and you guys work that out, where your kids are gonna spend the time. If you separate, that's one thing, that's fine, but the focus should always be on the child. What is in the best interest of the child? Let the community and the family know. If your sister, your brother, your cousin, your auntie know that the mother is the one that works all the time, why would they say, you know, this situation should be this way or that way? They have the best because they see it. They see your family, so they say, okay, well, when you're working, this is a good time for, you know, you guys to work it out with the visitation or whatever have you. Instead of going to a judge that doesn't see you every day, knows that you work the overnight shifts, that your children are safer with the mother or the children are safer with the father during those times. They don't see that one-on-one contact. They don't care. Even if they did know the details, they don't care. And that's a misconception. You can't tell me someone that's sitting up there listening to cases day after day, 10, 15 cases a day, care about your personal situation like your aunt would or your brother would or your grandmother would or whoever. And so that's the mission, is for people to file petitions with organizations like us or us and ask for help within the community. Thank you.
My name is Lomax Barnes, and I'm owner of the Youth Motivation Movement. And the program that I do is called Early Detection and Correction. You don't hear a lot about this program except for in the school system. One of our biggest problems in Niagara Falls is that we have taken God out of the picture. And when you take God out of the home, out of the schools, what do you have but evil? Yes. And that's how the city make their money. You can't discipline your kids, but the cops will get you out there and beat you across the head with a club, and they didn't even raise you.
All right.
I sit in the classroom, we monitor what these kids talk about. We monitor how they act. I have access to some of their Facebooks through the parents. And some of the things that these kids have on the Facebook, I saw one where a guy was practicing killing another person. Pictures drawn on the Facebook. And what we are doing, we are not waiting until the trigger is pulled. We're not waiting until these kids get in trouble. We are detecting, what we detect is some of these kids are going to be rapists. They're going to be murderers. They're going to be robbers. They're going to be on crack because of what they are talking about. And what we do with these kids, they're referred to us and we write up a needs assessment plan for the child. We meet with the parent and we find most of the problem in the home. Right. And we write up a needs assessment plan for the parents. Because we are dealing with grade school kids. And almost every school in the city, grade school, we are in that school dealing with these kids on a daily basis. Because if we can detect the problem while they're 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, when they get 15 and 16, they won't be having guns. They won't be on crack. They won't be dropping out. the government detects how many kids that's going to drop out of classrooms, how many going to drop out of school, and they build prisons on how many kids are dropping out of school. And so, if we are in the grade school, and another thing they do, the city mostly supports people after they get in trouble, after they had killed somebody, after they had got their lives messed up. But those of you who have kids, put them in the programs at an early age where we can help them. Because what they are doing at 6, 7, and 8, they are building their manhood and their womanhood as they grow up. And when they steal cookie out of their cookie jars and you let them get away with it, pretty soon they're going to walk into a store and steal a candy bar. Pretty soon they're going to have a gun robbing a pizza man. So it starts when they are young. I got a call to a house the other day about one of the boys, but I heard a 3-year-old girl cussing her mother out, and the mother thought it was cute. And I told that mother, if you don't stop this now, this girl is going to hurt you down the road. It's critical to deal with these kids at that grade school level. You can save the parents a lot of harm. We can save the taxpayers a lot of money when these kids don't get into the juvenile system. We have a bullying program in the school. We're trying to establish a non-tolerance bullying. We have a conflict resolution where we train the kids how to say no to violence, how to think non-violence. And it's a working program. And sometimes we on the streets at night, if we see a bunch of kids, 8, 9, 10-year-old, they are out there. We'll call their parents. What's going on with these kids? Why are they in the streets at night? There's no reason for a kid 7 to 8 years old out hanging on the streets at night. We walk down through Pierce Avenue, and if some of these young kids are gambling, immediately when they see us coming, they stop. And we're making a difference out there. We're dealing with these younger kids because we're not dealing with the ones that's in trouble already. We're not dealing with the one that's robbing your house. The grade school are full of kids that have potential to do the same thing that these 18 and 19-year-old, 16-year-old kids are doing. But if we don't stop them at that young age, we're going to lose a generation after generation of kids. I had a son that got in trouble one time a few years ago. And one of the judges called me from Lockport and said, we're going to release my son under you. And I told him, you're not. He's going to spend his time. Sometimes you got to have tough love. And we have to show it when they're young. So again, we are called the Youth Motivation, and our program is Early Detection and Correction. And we go to court with kids sometime when they need, when there's a need for it. But we mostly work within the school system, and we also is establishing a community youth court. We have that just got that in place. So if a parent have trouble with one of their kids, they can bring them to us, and we can decide what can be done for that situation. Because once you get in the pen system, they tell you it's covered up, it's hidden, but wait till you get older and apply for a job. That's the first thing they're going to pull up. It could be 50 years ago. So I recommend any parent, do not take your child to pens.
That's right.
All they're doing is making money off the kids. I sit in on some of those kids, and they say, how you doing? You staying out of trouble? You stay in school? See me in 2 weeks. The kid get in all kind of trouble within those 2 weeks. So you're wasting your child time. And again, some of the parents, the kids that are on medication, take them off that medication. Get these kids involved in something. All we're doing is giving these people more money and more money. They're making money off our kids. And it's just like the system here in Niagara Falls, and I'm about done, but we are in trouble. Now they have started marrying gay people. And in the Bible, Solomon and Gomorrah, the whole city was destroyed because of this same thing. We are cursing our own community. I wanted to do a choir at Niagara Street School. They told me, you can't use the name of God. And what I told them at that time is that they do the Pledge of Allegiance, they do My Country Tuesday, and I told them, every dime you got in your pocket have "In God We Trust" on it. Why you can't? And I told them that you're going to have to come in there and stop me. I got a choir right now. We did a concert at school. Everybody came. The kids are going to church with me on Sunday. Some of the parents are going to church with me. And we are making a difference. And God, if we put God back in the picture and deal with these kids at a younger age, we won't have the problems in high school and middle school. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, that's when you got to put these kids in these programs. I got a call to a school today, a guy 5 years old, about to jump on the teacher. And I had to go and meet with the parent and try to resolve that issue. And it worked out good. And I'm done. I'm not done, but I'm stopping.
My name is Rick Thomas, and this may fly in the face of Brother Robert's logic there, but I'm currently attending Niagara University pursuing a master's degree in social work. And what I'm particularly interested in is policy and analysis, because a lot of times as African Americans we have a lot of good ideas, but we don't know how to actually get these things into process, or the process that you need to go through to actually have your ideas come to fruition. So that's particularly what I'm interested in. I just want to be able to give back to the community in a way that that everyone can benefit from. I've done parenting groups at the Niagara County Jail, Erie County Holding Center with EPIC, which is Every Person Influences Children, and we work specifically with fathers trying to get them to communicate with their children once they're released in prison, keep the lines of communication open while they're in prison. We know that when we have someone, I had a brother that spent 17 years in jail, and we know that when we have family members in jail, we're doing the time just as well as they're doing time. The phone calls, the packages, the visits, and all that. So it's just as strenuous on us as it is on them. So again, I don't really have too much to say other than, my particular interest is in policy and analysis and trying to understand how to get, just to get through the bureaucracy. Earlier, Saladin said that you don't see any politicians here. Well, this isn't the voting block. The politicians usually advocate or look to engage. So if you had, a different set of people, you may see some politicians here, but because of the dynamic of the group that we're presenting, they're not here. So that's why it's important for me to, just to become abreast of what's going on with policy and analysis. Thank you.
Okay, I had a first question I had is for Rashid. You didn't mention the name of your books, and then also I just want you to share what your books are actually about and how have your books been received by people, not just here in the community, but just people all throughout the United States.
All right, yes. The first book is called Young Savage, and with that book, what I wanted to show how like a person can develop a savage mentality. I wanted to show how everyone was saying how certain factors like lack of love, lack of guidance, lack of vision, lack of support, and lack of self-esteem, and a lack of belief in self, and just coming out and wanting to change a circumstance but not actually knowing how to change it, but feeling the need to do something but not knowing what to do. So I tried to I wanted to educate people in a subtle way. Instead of trying to tell them this is what you should do, I wanted to entertain them, and if they could identify with the characters, I want you to know this character is suffering with low self-esteem, suffering from abuse, neglect, and all type of other things. And also I take it to show how he comes out of that. But it's it's crazy, you gotta read it. And the second book, Wow for the Night, I wanted to show how that same concept affect the whole family. Because in the first one, Young Savage, it's just one person. Like he has his mother like from a single parent household, but in Wild for the Night, this is an entire family, from the little boy to the middle brother to the oldest brother and the sister. I wanted to show how that same element affect the whole family. How the females turn out, how the baby boy turn out, how everybody turn out. I wanted to show how that. See, they had both their parents, but the parents were too busy to be involved with them. So that just left them fending for themselves and deciding for themselves what was life. And the one that's coming in March 20th, Sucker for Love, this one I have fun writing. This book is about, it's a guy, he grows up, but he knows his mother, he knows his father, and he's from a good family, he has a good background, but he allows his friends and different things that he see in the street like influence his mind the way he's supposed to be. So he's trying to, he has like a high level of respect for women, but also he's trying to be a player by following after his friends. And he's like, it's just crazy. But I think like, so what I wanted to do, I wanted to like paint a picture of how it's always important to be yourself. At the end of the story, the brother, he comes into his own at the end of the story. But throughout the story, I wanted him to see how he was his own biggest enemy, or his own, what I'm looking for. His worst enemy, that's right. So the brother, like, I wanted to show how he was like that, how he kept getting his own way and tackling himself. I wanted to show that.
Okay, now, before you went to prison,
yes,
like the kind of perspectives people had of you, you know, of things that you used to do, what has been your challenges now that you're a published author and you're doing something that's completely different than what you used to do? How are people receiving you, and what's some of the things that you've experienced with that?
Yeah, some of the things is like, people always try to like, because I don't come from a favorable background. I come from a very colorful and checkered background. So like, people always try to hold you prisoner to the past. People always try to like discount you or disqualify you and say, being that you started from there, no matter where you go or how much you achieve or accomplish, I still see you as that. And what I always do is let them know I'm more than your opinion, and you can see me how you want to see me. I'm going to continue to show you what you need to see. Because that's just what I do. And like a lot of different times, some people look at it like just the fact that I've done it. If a person know me in the background that I have, I'm from Jordan Gardens. You know, I met my dad when I was like 16, had a real conversation with him when I was 31. Like my mom, she wasn't really there. I'm not gonna put her out there like that because I'm responsible for my own decisions and stuff like that. So regardless of however, but like I said, I come from a lot of people that's wild and unruly, and I was one of the best of them. And so like just to see me coming home and being respectful, mindful, and courteous to other people, I look weak in comparison to what I once was before. But to me, I look better and I feel better and I like myself more. And I can live with myself and I'm comfortable with myself.
Not only that, you're stronger too.
Thank you. Thank you.
People will sentence you.
I'm not talking about the system now, but people will sentence you to a death sentence for one mistake. But God have a way of looking over that mistake and say, I still got something for you to do. I just want to say.
I was just going to add on to what Brother Barnes was talking about. I see a big problem starting at the home, you know what I mean? And basically I have a question for Sister X, because you said you got your pro-family program and stuff like that, and I was just wondering, do y'all do anything as far as like counseling young couples who might have, you know, things went sour and they still dealing with the emotions and stuff like that, but they forgetting that, you know, the children is most important and, you know, their development need to be the top priority?
That's actually the first mission. That was the first goal, because in my situation with my 9-year-old father, excuse me, that was what it was. It was a tenuous relationship. It was very abusive, sexually, mentally, physically, however many you can think of. And I made the first move to take him to court, and that was my wrong move, you know. But the reason why is because I perceived that that was what it was for, that the arena of family court is to help families. But if you think of those two words together, they don't make sense. Family and court shouldn't even be in the same sentence or in the same phrase. So my major goal is to get them before they feel like they need to go there. So to mentor them, guide them, help, like talk to one of them on the phone, what's the situation, talk to the other one, okay, can we meet on XYZ day so that we can talk about what's going on. And then focus on like, yeah, all that aside, still the kids need somewhere to go where they can see dad safely, where they can see mom safely. Even if people want to say, well, he on drugs, she on drugs, aside from all that, you knew that while you were with them. You knew that while y'all was raising them together. So the goal still is, where can we put the children where they'll be safe with the mom, with the dad, you know, if it means that they're at grandma's house, if it means they're at the sister's house, so that the children are still having a relationship with the mom and the dad. And even with what I'm going through, one of my friends pointed out the other day that she could not believe that I spoke somewhere else, and she heard that I said, even with both of my children are gone with two different dads. One is in Seattle, Washington. Friday was 23 months I have not seen, heard, emailed her, seen pictures of nothing, except the one picture on Facebook that's with the stepmother and her other child. So it's very painful for me. But even still, I still can't see myself when they return, because God is going to return them. When they return, I still can't see cutting their father out of this equation like they did me. Because I was the one that was open and taking them to the one that's in Seattle now. I was the one taking her, paying for $200, $300 airline, me and her going to visit father, driving to NC. If anybody's taking that drive, that's not an easy drive. That's an easy 15 hours, you know, with children in the car. I was initiating all that, showing him that we could make this work and have a safe place for her to see her father. And he took advantage of that, and the cross later on to bear was, then he took that same opportunity to use family court against me. And now he has custody of her, and he won't give me the same opportunity to share that love or have that respect. So basically the respect is that no matter what you go through, your children, you should love your children enough to know that they need both parents. Now I'm not talking about the violent offenders, I'm not talking about sexual offenders, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the everyday, what we see in our community and what we want to say about the mom and what we want to say about the dad. That is what I'm talking about. The root of it is, I had one social worker tell me from Erie County, well, it don't matter whether your daughter's in a house with a sex offender, level 3 sex offender, and I'm not lying. I pulled up the stuff on the internet. I was not playing. I knew that this man was staying at this house. As long as he doesn't touch her, meaning wait till after he touches her, then tell us he abused her. Are you serious? Where's the prevention in this? That's why the youth prison prevention program is important. That's why this man's program is important, because it's prevention. My program, the prevention is prevent yourself from finding yourself in family court. The biggest message, and this is off the record, is if you don't answer a petition, they cannot find you and they can't do nothing to you. So even if you find yourself where someone filed a petition against you, don't take offense to it. What you do is kindly say, you ain't answering. They actually have to hand you, serve you, but the whole point is that once you answer that petition and go to court, then you're stuck dealing with what they want you to do. And so the best thing to do is work it out. Like, I have flyers that you guys can have. You can call us and we'll help you to get through that so that you don't end up there.
I just wanted to add to that a lot of times people don't realize that you have to be your own best advocate. You know, a lot of times you can't sit back and wait for people to sort of show you the way. You have to be proactive. Like Brother Robert said, there's a wealth of information out there now. We have information available to us 24 hours a day at our fingertips. And it's in our best interest to use that. A lot of times what we like to do as black people is we like to blame things on black and white. And it is black and white, but it's the ability to be able to read and understand what's in black and white.
Right.
I got a question for Xavier. With the SNUG program, what have you seen that's been the most challenges
within the community as far as coalitions are concerned, like people that's participating in what you're actually striving to do, as well as maybe law enforcement, as well as maybe some of the political elements in the community? What's been some of the challenges as far as support?
As far as coalitions, the only coalition that came out to support SNUG when we responded to, y'all know recently People was murdered back in December, and the Stop the Violence Coalition came out and supported SNUG. We rallied on Ontario, and we talked about shooting and killing and violence in the community and how it needs to stop and how we're not going to tolerate it. But the Stop the Violence Coalition came out and they supported. We had some pastors that came out and spoke, Pastor Brown, Pastor Jackson, Pastor Kevin Dobbs, Reverend C. Wright, Elder right there came out and supported the shooting response, and a variety of families and friends. But what we need, what SNUG need, is we need the politicians to do what they need to do to keep SNUG in the city and to even expand SNUG. We need every violence intervention and prevention program that exists in Niagara Falls to get on board with us with no shooting, no killing, no violence in our city. We need supports from the churches, the pastors, our spiritual leaders, Muslim leaders, whatever religious leaders that exist in the city. We need them to get on board. We need parents to hold their kids accountable in a community. These kids are out here fighting in the streets and tearing it up, you know, mostly girls. The guys are mostly trying to shoot and kill each other. They'll fight, but they mostly trying to take each other out. But one of our most difficult challenges is breaking up fights with girls. You know, because usually the guys want to see the girls fight, so it'll be like 20, 30, 40, 50 of them all on piers, and we in between it, pulling them apart and things like that. What we need from the police force is to actually canvass their community. You know, not just ride through, but to be posted and stationed in the area that they are assigned to keep that violence down in that community. From the perspective of SNUG and the police department, SNUG doesn't go and tell the police when crimes take place. What we do is we allow the brothers and the sisters from that community to come to us, tell us who shot who beat up who, and then we just intervene on it. You know, we do conflict mediation and we just deal with the situation. If it escalates to a police problem and the police is investigating it and they involved, we got to step back and give them their respect. We try to keep it neutral with the officers. If it's a fight and if we see the officers already in it and doing their job, we stay away. If it's things going on in a community and if it's a fight in a community, we have to assess whether it's safe for us to get involved. First of all, if I've never seen you in my life before, I'm not going to just come up to you and start pulling on you, because I don't know what the situation is. We're not familiar with each other. So you have to use what you call common sense, but you got to use your street intuition too. You know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with violence out in the streets, you got to assess the situation and you have to assess it quick. You know what I'm saying? You got to see what it is, and there's nothing wrong with using a third party. Let me give you for an instance. There was a fight breaking off between a guy and a girl. There was no SNUG around but me at that time. They were doing something else. So I used a third party individual and I said, listen, come over here, grab her, because I don't know her. I'm gonna grab him because I know him, pull him apart. She ended up running to the trunk, popped her trunk. I thought she was getting a gun. I'm asking her what she doing. She came back with a hammer, said she gonna beat him to death. So, you know, I talked to her for a long time, and I got her to calm down, got her number, and I call her periodically, make sure she's staying focused. She just got out of jail. Things like those are the type of situations that SNUG deal with that people don't know about. So we need, you know, there was another instance, a girl was out in the streets, I guess she was about 14, 15, and she just brawling with another girl. I mean, they fighting, it's about 30, 40 people in the street, they got cars, can't even cross. And the mother drove by and seen her daughter out in the streets fighting. And I asked her, I said, did you know your daughter was out here? She said, no, I didn't even know that my daughter was out here on Pierce in 18th tearing it up. So all I'm saying is that me, myself, when my children leave the house, I need to know where you're going, how long you're going, whose house you're going to, what's the number, what's the parent's name. We need to hold them accountable. They can't be running rampant around the city and causing havoc and there's no accountability. Because we don't want the system to raise our children. We want to be able to step up and do what we need to do to reach out closer to our children.
So, seeing, as long as you've been doing this, do you see an end to the violence anytime soon, or? Violence
is infinite because our government can't even stop Iraq from wilding out. So, you know, SNUG ain't going to just come in.
So there's no solution then?
No, what it is that we can minimize. And it's just like subliminally, when you watch a video, let me give you for instance, when you watch a video and you keep seeing the video over and over again, after a while you know the words. That's why you see SNUG literature in the communities. That's the prevention part we do. We go out and we talk, we do seminars, we go to the schools, we have literature posted. That's the prevention, that's the visual. If they keep seeing stuff, no shooting, no killing, posters, that's all of the stuff that get it into their system and work it into their system. And after a while, people start saying, yo, SNUG, no shooting, no killing. People start saying things. We walk and we canvas, and people come out their house, we appreciate what you're doing. You got some young brothers that be like, yo, SNUG, no shooting. You know what I'm saying? So it starts to rub off, but you gotta keep putting it out there, keep putting it out there. The intervention part is, like I said, when things jump off in the community, SNUG is right there in the streets on a block, breaking it up and intervening. Guys don't pull out guns around me, you know, and I had to talk them into taking that burner, get up out of here before you make a decision that you can never take back, and go ahead and go home and think about this and holler at me later. Here go my car, but get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? So his brothers, you know what I'm saying, that had guns, knives, and everything, and we got them to fall back because of they know who we are, and because they feel that we are there to help and to make sense out of a situation that's chaotic. So it does help. You know, two brothers that I was working with that's always involved. Every time I look up, when it's a fight, they present. I got both of them jobs. Now I don't hardly even see them on the block. So SNUG does things, man, and they work with brothers. We just left Niagara Falls High School, and we talked with the brothers. We showed them a video, and we reached out to them. And at the end of that, each and every one of them brothers came up and hugged all of us, dapped us up, hugged us, and all that. And they was feeling it, and they said they want more. I'm talking about these are at-risk youth at high school. You know what I'm saying? The ones that's getting in trouble, fighting in the streets, Facebook drama, and all of that. These are the brothers that said that, yo, we want y'all to come through more often and talk, because we don't get this. We need this. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, SNUG is helping. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Then the sister, man.
One thing I wanted to say is before we leave, I want to get everybody's phone number up there, especially that lady in the middle. No, that's my wife, y'all. I want to get everybody's number up there because it's real important. I like what he said because, of course, we cannot stop the violence. I mean, violence was there, you know, with the arena, with the feeding people to lions kind of stuff. People like violence. I mean, Cain and Abel, Roy Jones Jr., you know, you name it. People, MMA, people feed off of violence. So, as you said, not only is our job to minimize it, but some people get tired of it, and they need an alternative. And then that's where we come in, to be that alternative. Because once it gets close to home, you know, it might be one thing if, you know, somebody across town gets shot, but once it happens in your own home, you start getting serious about it. You know what I'm saying? So we are the people to be there for an alternative, and I'd like to link up with you guys on the panel and everybody else in here who has an advocacy program. Thank you.
And I just want to piggyback. I think that if we think about this constructively, that's what we're here for, is that I can get referrals from him and his program. Same thing here, because the you know, brother and sister fighting, that might be over some drama that has to do with the kids or the children rather. And so referral is very important. And to me, I have a little bit of a different twist. I know violence will always be there, but the times are changing and people are really tired, and they're also looking for the light. And if we stick to the source and the light, that can end, and it will end. That's my mission. My mission is to make it so that the families don't have to resort to family court, and that no one will have to work in family court because no one's going there anymore, especially from our communities, the black and the brown communities. I don't want our people thinking that that's a resource. I want them to walk by it saying, what? That used to be family court, right? So that, you know, no one's going there anymore. They won't need it. Yeah.
Question for the brother with the SNUG organization. I heard you give an example or an incident where the two girls was fighting. Do you have a female component with the SNUG program?
That's the problem right now, because SNUG is it's a government grant, and it's a year-to-year grant, and we only hired a certain amount of people according to the grant stipulation. But that's one of the things that we're dealing with right now. We have to have a female, first of all, that girls from the community respect, because these girls will pop off on you, you know what I'm saying? If they don't play, they carry bleach, they'll throw it in your face, they'll spit on you, they'll cut you, you know, so it has to be a girl from the community that girls kind of fear a little bit, but respect, you know what I'm saying? And it gotta be a girl that can kind of handle her own too, and that can talk real good. She don't have to be real aggressive, but she need to be able to handle her own and know how to really talk to these girls without allowing herself to get dragged into an altercation with them. So that's what we're working on. We, out of the whole city, we only said to ourselves, I got 3 people in mind out of the whole city. So that's something that we're working on, trying to get a female staff on. I'm sorry, who asked?
Ron, go ahead, Ron. Go ahead. Well,
okay.
You know, we've been around this kind of thing before. We've had these meetings many, many times. I think we're not going to solve a problem until we get among ourselves and show some love among us. We never do that. And there's a great deal of distrust in our community. That's why we don't get things solved, myself. We don't trust each other.
Yeah.
As long as we don't trust each other, Rob, then the other people manipulate us. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening.
I was just about to say, it's the Lynch.
Willie Lynch.
Yeah, Willie Lynch is very much alive. He ain't dead.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, because I was asking him, you know, why did he go with the government program? Because already the government's telling him who we can hire and who we can't. No. You know what I'm saying? To a certain extent.
No.
You just said that the program, the grant that he got, allowed him stipulations.
There's different.
So,
yeah, we could.
we don't need stipulations in the street when it comes to the children. You know what I'm saying? We need to take care of them.
Yeah, but what I mean by that, but I didn't let me clarify the stipulation part. The stipulation part is not gender. The stipulation part is the amount. And we already was full staffed. Right. We already had a violence interrupter, the outreach workers, supervisor, and the manager. And for the Niagara site, that's all you were allowed was that amount of individuals. Now, in order to bring more staff on, either somebody would have to be terminated, or either we would have to try to get the government to see that it's necessary to hire a larger amount of outreach workers. In order to do that, we have to show that the violence in the city is so out of control that the amount that's there now can't handle it all. So that's why we didn't.
So this is the same government that's bringing the drugs in that you're working with?
No, we don't work with the government.
I mean, they're giving you the money.
No,
and the stipulations, and at the same time they bring the drugs.
The organization, I hear what you're saying, but listen to what I'm telling you. We know how our government is, but what I'm telling you is this: the way SNUG was formed, Ceasefire out of Chicago trained us. Now, Ceasefire is an organization that's exactly what SNUG is. So Ceasefire has to get their funding from what? The government. The money has to come from our government in order for us to get paid.
It can come from the people.
It can come from other sources too.
I had the floor and I've just been sworn.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr.
The problem we have is there's no trust between among each other. Absolutely none. We leave here, we go back, man, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, you go do your job. That's what it's all about. And the white man, the government, has got us ear hustling each other, and misuse each other for the money. Police hustling all the black community because, oh, we gotta stop the crime, so they let stuff happen. Sometimes it costs something. Necessarily, we know we fight among each other. More money come into them. We don't get nothing. The reason we don't get nothing, Joe, is because we don't get together. There's enough money in the government for all of us to have some money. But we don't get together. We fight each other for the money, so we never get the money. We had a chance, we had $380,000, man, for the ministers. They started fighting, the white man came and took that money. Before the money got here, they was fighting about it. So as soon as we get together and understand that there's enough. In the 60s and 70s, we had enough money. Dave, you know, there's enough money out there.
Yeah, but it's important. It's important to remember this, and I respect exactly what you're saying. My thought is this: when you see the division being sown in the crowd, you see how much peace was up in here for a minute. Watch, and I'm begging the people that's in this room, that's carrying information back. I'm begging you. It's a problem. It's people here, they talking about on a micro level, they dealing with problems and they correcting it, straight up. Xavier Walker knows what he's talking about. If there's a flood coming from the levees across the other side of town, we need somebody down there handling the big problem, but it's on this level, people is moving up to the roof so that they can survive. So, and that's what's happening right now. So it's people that's trying to deal with it on this level, just like the brother, Mr. Barnes said, he's trying to deal with the youth now. That's not to say it's not a problem with the older ones that's robbing the houses, but we dealing on different levels. Right. Watch your mouth saying all that destructive stuff, because we speak destruction on ourselves. Yes. Watch where these cameras and these tapes is going. Find out. Saladin, make sure you have a copy of everybody. Anytime somebody come up in here with a camera, with a film, and watch, when you take the microphone, you got to protect these people because they're sharing real information with you. And there are people that benefit from them not sharing this information. I repeat myself. There are people that benefit from them not sharing this information. And when you begin to do what I'm doing right now, you are making yourself a target. Very wrong. You know what I mean? Watch the people that sow division. Watch your mouth when you speak negativity, speak positivity, and support the people that take care of the people. Straight up.
It goes back, David. It goes back to us not trusting one another. That's the underlying problem we have.
I appreciate what you're saying. I also want to
we just gotta go back like this, like you guys are talking. We gotta all have each other's numbers. We gotta keep doing this until we can get to work with each other in a better way than we are.
Absolutely. I just want to make a real quick point about the government money. When you ask for government grant or a grant from any organization, there's certain numbers that they need to see. His goal, what we have to focus on is where the money's going and are they doing an honest job. Let's not worry about whether what the government's final goal is. If you know you got the money in honest hands and they doing honest work, then that's all we need to focus. Now, if he took the money, was running, doing some other stuff with it, then we have to say that was an inappropriate allocation of funds. We don't really care where the money's coming because we know that he's telling us his testimony. You know he's out in the streets doing what he's supposed to be doing. I think that the young man wants to...
But he had his hand up for a long time. That's why I came over.
Okay.
This is pertinent. I want to emphasize something. People have a way of convincing us that there's only one way to skin the cat. There should only be one program, there should only be one effort, there should only be one alternative. That's wrong. Okay? Brother Xavier, I know Xavier, right? And I know him to be an honest man. There are many different ways, there are many different kinds of programs. I'm fortunate I grew up in a big city so that there were lots of opportunities and lots of options. And one of the things that we need to stop doing is bad-mouthing other programs, bad-mouthing each other. You can do whatever you want to do. However, you need to be accountable. So there need to be results, measurable results. And that's what the government is going to tell you for every grant. They want measurable results.
There's some people in the room. But I'm looking at the room, I'm looking at a half-empty room, right? I'm not trying to give Niagara Falls Street News Joel and Joe any credit or anything like that. But I believe that the people that's not here needs to see what's going on in this room. I mean, I don't know if this is supposed to be some kind of quiet meeting, barnyard meeting like they used to have back in the days when they was trying to read the book and the master come in and we got to hide the book. This is something we should not hide as our community, right? That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And
No,
don't give the government
I agree with that.
in my opinion also,
I agree. As long
we
as
can't
it's being used a couple of different ways. That's all I'm saying. You can't, once you put it out there, you can't control it. The only thing I was saying is that, okay, if you're doing it, if it's not you, if it don't matter, I said be aware.
No.
I said be aware of where this information is going because people are using it. One of the brothers that spent his whole life taking pictures, and it was brought out that 5 years after that, his photography, he was working with the FBI, period, point blank. That's just how it is. You don't have to be doing it directly, and I'm not saying that. Only thing I said is that make sure you know and make sure you understand how the media is informing you and how much you pay attention to that. Those are things, and I stand by that.
That's your opinion. Everybody all right? One thing.
And that's no
give the government, my opinion, we give the government too much credit for a whole lot of things, you know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, some things like the lady right here said, we can keep it and correct it in our community. If we waiting for the government to do it, it ain't gonna never happen.
Exactly.
Very
my
true.
Opinion.
Okay, okay, we got just take one last comment, and then we gotta wrap it up because